In 5, 4. Welcome to another edition of the FG Podcast.
Sounded like you said another edition.
Another edition.
I like that. Another edition.
We're dishing it out.
Of the FG Podcast.
And 5, 4. Welcome to another edition of the FG Podcast. I'm Matt Rexford. I'm here with my good friend,
Jonny Brush.
He's Jonny Brush. That's right. If you're just listening to this at home, you can't see his hairy face.
You can't see it, but
It's
I
there.
did have someone in the congregation mention that now I can brush with my beard. I can brush now.
Nailed it. Hey, today is a worship podcast edition. So we're going to talk a little bit about ministry, what's going on, talk about some exciting new resource ideas, and then talk about the downtown worship night. So there's our general outline.
Big stuff.
But first, Jonny, what type of music have you been enjoying lately?
I don't know if any of you out there listen to Reliant K. It's always been one of my favorites. But the lead singer, Matthew Thiessen, came out with a separate project, Matthew Thiessen and the Earthquakes. And that whole album is just fantastic.
Earthquakers.
The Earthquakes.
What kind of music are we talking about?
It's like acoustic folk, alternative.
Is it Christian?
really
Does
good.
it glorify the Lord
Yeah.
in its artistry?
In its own way. It's not overtly Christian, but it's very good.
You sent me a link to YouTube Piano Player. Is it Peter Bentz?
Oh man,
It was really
Yeah.
cool. I'd never heard of him, and he's just this crazy
it's so fun.
good, like, he's probably classically trained, but his crossover into, like, he was covering this Michael Jackson song and just
Let's shamelessly endorse him right now. Go follow Peter Bentz on YouTube.
just watch a song or two. Really
Yeah,
neat.
it's amazing.
And I'm also in a real movie score period, just like...
You've
just
always
listen.
been there ever since I've known you.
Yeah, it just calms me. I love the beauty of it. So, all right, we're going to talk a little bit about the resource arm of the worship ministry here at FG, and it's long been a passion of ours to create resources that people could use in their everyday. Like they could go listen to this song on a Tuesday and worship with it. And so much of the challenges have just been time, a place to record, and work on the resources, which God is
motivation sometimes.
Which God has so graciously provided this awesome space. So
It's awesome.
We've been walking down the road a little bit at a time. And so one of the questions that we came up kind of at an impasse is like, what do we call this resource arm? Because FG Worship just sounded a little off to us.
Yeah.
If you're outside of church, it's like you don't really know.
Yeah, everyone
What is
inside
that?
the walls, we know what FG Worship is.
Right.
But this proverbial, metaphorical,
The man in
hypothetical man in
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma
There's
that you
always
keep
a man.
referring to.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's at
FG?
least one man in Oklahoma. But yeah.
Probably, yeah.
What is FG Worship? That wouldn't communicate.
So
a lot
talk
to
about
me,
our
so.
search a little bit and what we landed on.
Yeah, so it kind of started with this idea of let's find a word in one of the biblical languages that sounds really cool, but it also has like a lot of meaning and stuff. And so that was kind of the idea, is like, let's start looking for what's the Hebrew word for sing or praise or worship, or the Greek word. And quite honestly, a lot of them just sounded pretty weird and lame.
Yeah.
It didn't work. But the Greek word for praise or exalt, doxa, was 4 letters, short, and it just worked.
Easy
so
to
we were
remember.
like, yeah, let's do DOXA Worship. And there's only one other band named DOXA, and a lot of the other ones already existed. So
Which is rare. So
it is rare, so we're doing good.
if you've already been wondering, like, why did you name yourself something that somebody was already named?
Yeah.
I challenge you.
Yeah.
I challenge you to go look on Spotify or the internet and tell me where there's an original name. Because there's like 50 elevation worships out there. There's a ton of passion worships. Like it's very difficult.
Tough.
So
to find a name where only one other band existed in the whole world,
I think it's pretty
we
incredible.
went with it. It's a win.
So that's DOXA.
Yes.
DOXA Worship. And very excited, got our first single release from a batch of songs we've been writing out of the study of Romans. We really have been intentionally trying to create original songs for our people to express out of the study of Romans. And so we landed on our first single being one that Mr. Jonny Brush wrote. So tell us about More Than Conquerors. What passage did it come out of? What theological thoughts, maybe what the sermons that stick in your mind, like these really help shape the song?
So all the concepts are written out of Romans chapter 8, which a lot of people throughout church history have said is like the chapter of Scripture.
And our church did 8 weeks in Romans 8.
8 weeks in Romans 8. And so those themes and ideas were ruminating for a while, and it's a passage of Scripture that I got saved to, and so it's like there's a ton of meaning.
You got saved to it?
I got saved to it.
Explain that a little bit.
In 7th grade, a man named Todd Milby
Todd.
Hey Todd, how you doing? He was my youth pastor, and he taught out of Romans 8, verses 31 through 35 about the love of God, and so that was the verse and the part of Scripture that really compelled me to salvation.
Saved to Romans 8.
Yes, I was saved to Romans 8.
Amen.
So yeah, a lot of those ideas from the song just came out of that chapter, and specifically it was after Jonathan Parker preached on the very end of it, and he went through these rhetorical questions that Paul asks: who can condemn us? Who can bring a charge against God's elect? And so the idea of the song was, hey, what if the verses were like, let's just ask those questions? Mm-hmm. Who can bring a charge against God's elect that can stand? And
no one. Nothing.
The answer, it's no one. Nothing. Right. So
those became the verses.
Yeah, that was the verses.
And the chorus, a pretty simple declaration that our hope is sure, joy secure, and then we're more than conquerors.
That chorus came to me taking Zeke to school in the morning. Just happened.
Boom.
Light switch.
Sang it into the phone and had it.
Yeah.
It's fun as you kind of take a song and work with it from the beginning to the end. It's funny how it kind of evolves. Like the first edition of the song, we had an intro that we basically tried it with the band and we kind of hated it.
It was horrible.
We didn't like it at all. And so Johnny's second edition was the intro and transition that I really love with that. A nice groove. No dancing allowed on this.
Sorry, no dancing.
So you can get that single anywhere you want. We hope you just listen to it on Spotify or Amazon Music or the real Napster.
The legal Napster.
That's right.
That is still around.
Joseph Adams. He made a beautiful lyric video that's on YouTube.
Wonderful.
With all these oceans and forests.
Mountains.
Nice teal bars, whatever you call them.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
So you should be able to find that. If you can't find it, ask someone, and we'll help you find it. So.
Yeah, I think MySpace Music has it as well.
That's incredible.
Isn't that amazing?
That exists.
Those things are still around.
Well, we hope that is an encouragement to you. And then finally, we want to talk about our annual night of worship, downtown Greenville, TD stage, behind the Peace Center. What's the date?
October 19th.
That's right.
That was a quiz really quick. I was like, I don't know if I remember.
I hope I remember.
I have 3 kids. I can't remember.
It's coming
much.
up in like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, most riveting night of your year. It's going to be amazing.
That's a lot of pressure.
I know.
Know if I would say that. 2 weeks away, Friday, October 19th. We're going to start a little earlier, 7 p.m., because we're in the fall. I had so many people say, please, Matt, can we do it in the fall? We're just sweating our faces off here in the summer, which was true. So we agreed. We tried in the fall here.
That's fantastic.
Pray for a nice, cool night.
No rain.
A dry night.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's going to be great.
You can bring a lawn chair, a blanket. Mm-hmm. Is there anywhere to put a hammock up in there?
I'm sure you could find a way.
If you bring your own 2 poles, it might be a little obtrusive.
Or 2 people who could hold the ends.
Like Moses and Aaron.
And really serve you.
Who held up the...
This is getting out of hand.
All right. So you can bring some food and beverage.
Yes.
A little picnic basket. Yes. Everybody around you is super jealous.
Do we have confirmation on cider or donuts or anything?
I heard those words just said
some meetings,
at one time.
They were just kind of floating around.
So I'm not promising them, but I've heard...
Get your hopes halfway up.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And then we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And then it's a fun event to maybe invite a friend to and say, hey, we're hanging out downtown Greenville. It is very worship focused, so it's not really like evangelistic or like Easter, like send the gospel out or whatever, but it's very kind of church focused. Sing a lot of our favorite songs from the previous year, and it's just a super fun night.
It's going to be great. I'm very excited.
All right. 3 simple things from the worship ministry. DOXA Worship, More Than Conquerors is out, and we'll see you at the night of worship, Friday, October 19th, 7 p.m. Love you guys. Worship in your everyday, and we'll see you on Sunday.
See you later.